Okay. Good day, everyone. I hope you can see me down here. So, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the story entitled "Freak the Mighty." So, from the word itself, from the title itself, they are quite the opposite person. Though we will be talking about two-person, which are freak and the mighty, the freak one and the mighty one. So yeah, without further ado, let's delve into the story. But before that, let's talk about the author first. So let's talk about some of the background of the author. So it was Rodman Philbrick who wrote the story of Freak and Mighty. He was born on January of 2000, January of 1951, date 22. He is now 73 years old because if he was born in January 21, 1951, then he's probably still alive until today. So he is 73 years old. Currently residing at Boston, Massachusetts and the US, and is an American writer of novels for adults and children. He has um, he has written popular children's books such as Freak and Mighty, Max the Mighty, the last book in the universe, and has written other mysterious and thrillers for adults. So, fun fact: Rodman started writing stories since he was 12 years old, and then he finished a story that he wrote when he was only 16 years old, because accordingly, he loves to talk a lot. He loves to think a lot. That is why he wrote a lot of stories, probably. So, without further ado, let's move on to let's have first the characters. So, first we have wait. Let's have first the summary. The eye. So, Freak and Mighty is a moving story of an unlikely but powerful friendship between two boys who couldn't be more opposite. Max is unusually large for his age and is often teased by bullying classmates. So, Max is the bigger one, who is the mighty, and then the freak one is the freak boy, who is named as Kevin. Freak is as Kevin, or then Max as affectionately calls him. Is is extra tiny with various health issues, but with a huge intellect. So with the two-person, one with the small but has an intellect, and the bigger one who is kind of afraid of bullies and has this traumatizing experience with his father. That's why together, as they work together, they can conquer any bullies. Like, if we work together, I'm the intellect, I will work as the head, and then you will work as my body, because you know Kevin the freak, it cannot has problem with health issues, specifically physically he is not he cannot walk, and then always has this metal with him. So that's the summary of the story, just to thrill you, because Charles will be talking about a lot about this story, and he will further and let you really fall in love with the story. So yeah. Now let's have the character. Of course, I thought it was Maxwell King, the bigger boy, and then he is called as Max. So have this let's hear the description of Max for a while. So Maxwell Kane is a 12-year-old boy who is the narrator and protagonist of the novel. Max lives with his grandparents because his father is in prison for killing his mother. Max is very big for his age and looks like his father, so people fear him. But he is actually very sensitive and kind. So Max doesn't think he's very smart, and he doesn't have any friends before he meets Freak. Max is the physical strength half of Freak the Mighty. So he's the physical strength and he's the physical strength of Kevin the Freak. He does he doesn't think that he doesn't think that he has an intellect, and he even said to himself na I cannot write or I cannot read, unlikely the opposite of Max, the opposite of Freak or Kevin. Now let's move on to Kevin. Kevin is a 12-year-old boy who moves into the house next door to Max. So nibalhin sila dito sa silingan ni Max, whom Max refers to as Freak. Freak is extremely intelligent and has quick and sarcastic wit. He also has a condition called Morquio syndrome that affects his growth and mobility. He's very small for his age, wears leg braces, and di ba I told you before na he always has this metal with him. So because he has problem with his health, and he is very small for his age, wears leg braces, and uses crutches to get around. Freak doesn't have any friends before he meets Max. Freak is the brain and half of Freak the Mighty. So he has the brain, but Max has the physicality. Okay. Now let's move on to Grimm and Graham. So Grimm and Graham is Maxwell's grandparents because you know Maxwell's father is in prison, so he lives in his grandparents, namely Grimm and Graham. So Grimm is Max's maternal grandfather, whom Max lives with after his mother's death. Grimm loves Max, but he also recognizes the physical similarities between Max and his father, Kenneth, and Killer Kane, and worries that Max could be like his father in other ways. So, nag-worry ang Charles will be talking a lot about this, but yeah, Grimm is his Maxwell's grandfather, and then he worries about Max because he's most likely the same with his father, but maybe Max was just being understood because he's kind of kuno. However, nahadlok pud bisan si Maxwell siyang kaugalingon nga maparehas siya siyang papa nga killer. Nahadlok pud yang lulo nga sa physical pa lang anyo isog jud kayo mo siya gahi kay ba si Maxwell, and then nagworry po ang lolo niya nga maparihas siya sa iyahang iyahang papa. So that is Maxwell. That is Grimm, his grandfather. Now let's move on to Graham. Graham is Max's maternal grandmother and wife of Grimm. Graham is warm and sweet. She loves Max and worries about him constantly. So he worries about Maxwell constantly, Maxwell Kane. Next is we have Kenny. I know. We have Gwen. Gwen Avery, or Fair Gwen, is Kevin's mother and a childhood friend of Max's mother, Annie. So childhood friend din ni si Gwen Avery, mama siya ni Ken. Mama siya ni Ken, and then childhood friend siya sa mama pod ni Max. Okay. That is Gwen Avery. Okay. Now let's have Loretta Lee. Loretta Lee. I don't know how to pronounce there. So it is she is a woman from a dangerous part of the town who knew Mac's mother and father when they were younger. She's probably the Marites of this story. He somehow she somehow knows the backgrounds of Maxwell's father and mother. Yeah, from the old town. Now, let's move on to Iggy Lee. So, Iggy Lee is Loretta Lee's husband and the former friend of Kenny Kane. So, former friend siya ni sa Kenny Kane is Maxwell's father. So, former friend siya ni Kenny katong killer bitaw nga papa ni Max. So, muna siya si Iggy Lee. Now, let's move on to Kenneth Kane Killer. So as you can see here, he looks like he looks like Maxwell Good. However, 'di ba ni Anas si Max nga di siya um para-parado siya og kanang sa to king basta makita na gyud sa story kung unsa ka kanang unsay mga naagian ni Max og um Max og ni Max og ni Kevin, ni Freak og ni Mighty para lang ma-overcome nila ang mga challenges bitaw. And there's maybe a plot twist kung naunsa si Kevin or naunsa si Kenny dayon pagkalast. So, let's take a look. And then kani si Killer Kane, the antagonist, which is Maxwell's father, the protagonist father, na daghan gyud siya mabuhat. Daghan gyud siya sala. Ay, daghan sala. Okay. So that's all for the characters, and let's listen to Charles to how this character evolved from being or how this characters. Let's without further ado, Charles, please take over. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I am Charles Dave Indac, and to continue the report, I will be discussing about the plot of Freak the Mighty. So, without further ado, let us jump to our discussion. So, for our exposition, the story begins by introducing the main characters, Max and Kevin, or also known as Freak. Max is a large, shy boy with learning disabilities and low self esteem, haunted by his father's criminal past. Kevin, small in stature with a physical disability, is incredibly intelligent and fascinated by medieval knights and quests. They become friends when Kevin moves into the neighborhood. So in this part of the story, it introduces Max as a large and tall boy that is not common for his age. And he has a learning disability that means na hina siya when it comes sa pagsabot or dugay siya maka catch up, no? While Kevin is small in stature, he is incredibly smart but has a physical disability, which is not na di siya makalakaw, no? He cannot walk without the help of his hip braces and crutches. So they have similarities, no? But both are different. So how did they become friends? When Kevin moves into the neighborhood, they became neighbors. And during the moving event, Max look at the fence and sees Kevin struggling to reach something on a tree branch. In Max's perspective, it was a bright piece of paper, and seeing Kevin struggling to reach it with all his strength, naluoy si Max and decides to jump onto the fence and gets the paper. To his surprise, it wasn't a paper, but it was a paper bird like structure, no? So he gave it to Kevin. That is na happy si Kevin na finally nakuha na ni Max ang iyang kuha ganina sa branch. So no, he then explains to Max that it wasn't a paper plane but an ornithopter. It is an experimental device that flies by flapping its wings. And Kevin tells him that it's just a big word for a mechanical bird. Kevin then throws the ornithopter for it to fly and leaves Max in awe and surprised that a paper thing can fly. After that, he invites Kevin to his room and have a chat. And after that, their friendship slowly began. And so, no, that is for our exposition. So next is our rising action. Max and Kevin form a close bond and create their team, called Freak the Mighty. With Max carrying Kevin on his shoulders, together they go on various adventures around town, facing bullies and exploring their surroundings. Through this quest, Max begins to see himself differently and gains confidence. Tension builds when Max's father, a dangerous man just released from prison, resurfaces in his life. So no, since Kevin likes knights and robots, he integrated this when he and Max bond or play. No, during their quests and adventures, Max always carries Kevin in his shoulder. And whenever they travel in the neighborhood, nun, he brings Kevin on his shoulder na siya ang lako-lako na siya sa shoulder ni Max. So no, Max became Kevin's new legs, and Kevin became Max's brain. So kung si Max became Kevin's new legs, si Kevin Pud became Max's brain since he has a learning disability. No? So, since also says in the story that he never had a brain before Kevin, or he calls him Freak, enters his life. So, no, ay pa siya warag na-realize na ah naa siya brain di ay since naa na si Kevin siyang life no na sige na siya tuon ay sige siya pakatuon niya Kevin since si Kevin is very has a vast knowledge of vocabulary no so mga highfalutin words ang mga ni Kevin gina-perminti istorya iya Max and their Max then learns new stuff. So a notable part of the story is when they were chased by bullies, no? And Max was completely out of ideas of how to escape, no? So Freak or Kevin has a plan and tells Max to run into the muddy pond. In the pond, the bullies can't reach them, but the bully starts to throw stones at them. At this rate, Max already envisions their doom. But suddenly, he heard a sharp, high-pitched sound coming from Kevin. He is whistling, trying to get the cops' attention. And after successfully catching the cops' attention, the bullies then ran, and Max was relieved, and Kevin was happy and proud of the brilliant plan he developed. And after this, their bond became deeper. And but a sudden change of events starts to ruin Max's life. So that is for our rising action. Next is the climax. The climax occurs when Max's father kidnaps him. Kevin comes to Max's rescue, and together they manage to escape. This daring event highlights the strength of their friendship and their bravery. So when Max's father, Kenneth Kane, also known as Killer Kane, got out of prison, he kidnapped Max, trying to manipulate Max into thinking that he did not kill his mother when he was young. Excuse me. He seeks assistance then to his friends Iggy and Loretta Lee. Iggy is scared of Killer Kane since he is feared throughout the town as a murderer. So he is forced to help Max's father to hide him and Max. Fast forward, the cops were trying to find Max along with Kevin, and Killer Kane drags Max to the basement when he noticed that the cops are surrounding the house that Iggy gave them as a temporary shelter. No, Max was swollen from being tied from his head and feet, from his hand and feet. No? So nanghubag na si Max tungod sa gigapos siya sa iyang amahan, no? He then hears Loretta Lee coming down the basement and unties him saying that Kenneth Kane is not the same person as he was before. So nagbago na si Kane, no, na ilang friend na si Kenneth Kane na ilang friend, nagbago na siya. So di na daw siya mao daw, para na mao iyang ugali. As Loretta Lee successfully manages to untie Max, she felt two strong hands gripping her neck, causing her to choke. And this scene brings back Max's memories of his father, of his father, Killer Kane, no? Choking his mother to death. Max tries to help Loretta, but Killer Kane was stronger and pushes him. He then told him that he remembers everything that has happened and never forgets. Killer Kane tries to reason out that he is still young to remember, but Max justifies his claim by revealing what he was wearing during the incident. This caused Killer Kane to free Loretta and chokes Max instead. When Max was in the brink of passing out, Kevin enters the scene with a water gun. He says that the gun is filled with acid, although di man gyud siya acid kay naghimo-himo ra to si Kevin og something vinegar and something powder na rag spice yata to yang gimix para ano siya para maka kaning rag stingy kay siya sa mata kung ano siya made in contact, no. So Killer Kane thinks that the kid is bluffing and shrugs it off. Murag wala na siya ha kay lagi bata, lagi na kay ga-bluff lagi daw siya, lagi na mao, dili na acid. Which is di man sad siya. Di man sad siya acid man sad. Kon man siya, kani hinimo-himo ra siya, pero sakit gapon siya kung maka in contact. No? So, uh, Killer Kane thinks that the kid is bluffing and shucks it off, diba? Kevin sprays it in, but then Kevin sprays it at his eye, causing him to scream in pain, and lets go of Max, no, giving Max the opportunity to escape the scene, no. So Max ran out of the basement, dragging Kevin with him, and both made it out safely. So after that, si Loretta, which is na ano siya na hospital kay naa siya wag na fracture iyang neck tungod sa pagkahugot sa pag-choke siyahan ni Killer Kane, no. And Killer Kane is na-arrest na pud siya utro. And tungod ato wala na-arrest na gid siya, no. So that is for our climax. And next is our falling action. Kevin's health begins to deteriorate rapidly after their escape, signaling the story's descent into tragic turn. Max tries to come to terms with the possibility of losing his friend, which challenges him deeply. So after the incident, everything was, back to normal na. Max and Kevin enjoyed their friendship until Christmas came. They exchanged gifts, and Kevin gifted Max a self-made book filled with the words that Kevin likes. So mura siya dictionary, no, kay alphabetically arranged man siya, and puno po siya og mga words na ginagamit po si tawaganin ni Kevin, no. So Kevin received a computer that made him very happy, but not for long. No. After a while, Kevin had a seizure and rushed to the hospital. This made Max worried since he can't go inside the room where Kevin is in. But Kevin requested the nurses to let Max in. So Max goes inside the room, no? And Kevin speaks to him in a low and husky voice. Ano na gid si Kevin ani? Kining galuyan na gid si Kevin, no? And tells him to get the book that is on the table. Max agrees and gets the book. Max was surprised that the book was blank. Kevin then said that the purpose of the book was for him to write all their adventures with Max. But since Kevin was unable to do it, he asked Max to write it on his behalf. Max tries to defend that he is still can't write due to his learning disability, no? But Kevin tells him that it is all in his head and just write what he remembers. The story of Freak the Mighty. After that, Max went silent and Kevin begins to cough and the nurse swarms in the room and tells Max to get out. After a while, the nurse came back and tells Max and Kevin's mother, which is Gwen, no Gwen or Fair Gwen, as Kevin nicknamed her that, no, that is that Mac, no, so that Kevin is stable. Stable na si Kevin ani. Wala na siya gaobo, stable na gid siya, stabilized na siya. Max then went home silent. And early in the morning, he sneaks out of the house not knowing of the tragic news that lies ahead. And that is for our falling action. Next is our resolution. Kevin dies from complications related to his condition, leaving Max devastated. However, inspired by Kevin's encouragement, Max writes down their story, learning to express himself and to cherish the lessons and memories of their friendship. No? So after Kevin dies, Max was very depressed. Not leaving his room, no? Di na siya out, no? To the point na wala siya ka-attend, no? He even did not attend Kevin's funeral due to his depression, due to his denial. And after a while, Max finally left the house and met Loretta Lee. Katong nag-antay siya habitaw sa basement sa katong kidnap siya siyang father. So they have a small conversation, but Max was left with a phrase before Loretta leaves, no? Na wag naka-encourage ya Max. So Max was left with a phrase that Loretta said, doing nothing is a drag. Since wala man kayo ginabuhat si Max during ato na time, no? Murag pila siya ka days or weeks na dito sa iyang room doing nothing but mourn or having the grief of losing his best friend. So the phrase doing nothing is a drag is what Loretta said, no? And that encourages Max and also the memories of what Kevin said. It encourages him to go home and opens the box. Ang box is katong present, no? Nagihatag siya ni Kevin during the Christmas. Iyang gibutang dito ang libro. So, he starts then to write all of their adventures in his POV in the book that Kevin gave him at the hospital. And that led us into reading the book we know today, which is Freak the Mighty. So, no, that is our story. It is a very nice and touching story. I really recommend it. There is a movie. It's called The Mighty. You can search it up to those free websites. And but there is also a movie in the YouTube. You can search it. It's the only obstacle is the language since it is in Spanish, no? So you can just turn on the subtitles for you to understand what they are saying. But the movie itself is English. Sa ang naa sa YouTube lang is ang Spanish version. So yeah, that is our story. So which leads us to our theme, which is friendship. No, friendship, it is very prominent, it is very visible in the story. No, the friendship of Freak, which is Kevin and Max, and also courage, which can be shown where where Freak or Kevin saves Max from his father. No, from where he kidnapped, no, Max. And also childhood trauma because of his father killing his mother, choking her to death. What murag ang effect ato iya Max is very crucial since he became silent na yun. He became conscious sa iyang surroundings. He became na siya anxiety dayon. So no, childhood trauma. And in the climax where he reveals na wag yun niya nalimtan na his father killed his mother by choking her, and only Max can do was cry and scream at that time since he has no power over his father. And also imagination. I think it's obvious na imagination since Kevin integrated this during his adventures and quests he has for Max. No? They travel, they adventure sa quest sa neighborhood. So muna ang atong theme. No? So next is the moral of the story. True friendship can empower and transform us, helping us to overcome our fears, embrace our differences, and discover inner strength. So no, true friendship does not bring you down. They lift you up. No? They do not stab you at the back. They push you to your limits in a positive way, of course. They push you to your limits to be the best of you. That is true friendship. No? They open or they unravel the best in you. They provide or they are the catalyst that what made you to be the best version of you. So that is the moral of the story. True friendship can empower and transform us. And that's it for our report, which is Freak the Mighty. I hope you love the story. For no, it is a very touching story. I hope you will search it and watch the movie. The movie is very also nice. It's very nice, and the story is also available in the website. You can search it on Google. So that's it for our story, and thank you so much for listening.